some places shouldn't be found.
It was a cold, rainy night when I found myself lost on an old forest road. My phone had no signal, and the GPS arrow hadn't moved for miles. Trees surrounded both sides like dark, silent walls. The only sound was the steady hum of rain hitting my car and the distant rumble of thunder. Then, through the blur of rain on my windshield, I saw a faint light deep among the trees, a small flickering glow, like a candle. I slowed down, squinting through the darkness, and realized it was coming from a wooden house, old, crooked, and half hidden behind overgrown vines. At first, I thought someone might live there, maybe an old forest caretaker or a lost traveler like me. I just needed shelter for the night. But the closer I got, the more uneasy I felt. The trees seemed to lean toward the house, their branches scraping against the roof like fingers. I parked my car, grabbed my flashlight, and stepped into the mud. The rain was relentless, cold, and heavy. As I reached the porch, the light inside flickered again, then went out. For a moment, everything was pitch black. The front door creaked open with a slow, drawn-out moan. I didn't even touch it. I shone my flashlight inside dust, cobwebs, broken furniture, and muddy footprints on the wooden floor, leading deeper into the house. "Hello?" I called out, but only the storm outside answered. I stepped in. The air was damp and smelled of rot. Water dripped from the ceiling, and every floorboard creaked under my feet. There were old family photos on the wall, faces blurred or scratched out, like someone had taken a knife to them. Thunder shook the walls. My flashlight flickered. For a split second, I saw a shadow move across the hallway, tall, thin, and slow. When the light steadied again, there was nothing there. I tried to convince myself it was my imagination. Maybe the lightning, maybe my tired eyes. But then came the sound faint footsteps from upstairs. Creak, creak. Someone was walking above me. I should have turned around and left, but something inside me wanted to know who it was. Maybe another lost traveler. Maybe not. I climbed the staircase, one step at a time. The wooden handrail was damp and sticky, like it hadn't been touched in years. At the top of the stairs, a single door was slightly open, a dim yellow light leaking through the crack. I took a deep breath and pushed it open. The room was small, an old bed, a rocking chair, and a window cracked open to the rain. The chair was moving back and forth slowly, as if someone had just been sitting in it. I froze. Then I saw something that made my stomach drop, a candle burning on the bedside table, and beside it, a photo frame. It was a picture of a man standing at the door, my car visible behind him. Before I could process it, the rocking chair stopped moving. The candle went out, and from the corner of the room, a whisper right next to my ear. "Why did you come back?" I spun around, but there was no one, only darkness. My flashlight flickered again, and for a brief moment, I saw a face in the window, pale, smiling, and drenched, staring straight at me from outside. I ran. I didn't care about the noise or the darkness. Down the stairs, through the hall, but the front door was gone. The wall where it used to be was now solid wood. My heart pounded as I turned around, and there she was. A woman, soaked in rain, standing in the middle of the hallway. Her hair hung over her face, dripping. Her mouth stretched into an unnatural grin. "You shouldn't have entered this house," she whispered. The lights flickered violently, the walls groaned, and I heard screaming hundreds of voices echoing from every corner of the house. The air grew colder, my breath turning white. I bolted into another room, slammed the door, and pressed my back against it. Everything went silent. No thunder, no rain, just silence. When I turned around, I realized the room was filled with old portraits. Every frame showed the same house, the same hallway, but with different people standing in it, their faces pale and terrified. In the last photo, I saw myself, standing at the door, holding a flashlight, looking scared. The candle beside the photo lit itself. A whisper came again, this time from behind me. "Now you're part of the house." I screamed and ran toward the window, smashing it open. Cold rain hit my face as I jumped out. I didn't stop running until I reached my car. I started it with shaking hands and drove off without looking back. But as I looked in the rearview mirror, for just 1 second, I saw it the same house, standing right behind me again, its windows glowing faintly, like it was waiting. And this time, it wasn't raining anymore. After that night, I swore I'd never go near that forest again. But some nightmares don't end when you wake up. For weeks, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that woman soaked in rain, smiling through her hair. So, I did what no sane person would do. I went back. It was almost midnight when I parked my car near the same dirt road. The rain hadn't stopped in days. The forest looked darker this time, heavier. Even the air felt different, colder, thicker. I followed the same path where my footprints had been washed away by the rain. But when I reached the spot, the house wasn't there. Where the house once stood, there was only an empty clearing. Wet grass, broken branches, and a few pieces of rotten wood half buried in mud. It looked like no one had lived there in decades. Yet I knew what I had seen. I walked closer, and that's when my flashlight caught something. A door. Just a single wooden door, standing upright in the middle of the clearing, not connected to anything. It looked old, the same faded brown color as the house's door. Its handle was rusted, but when I touched it, it was warm. A sudden whisper brushed past my ear. "Welcome home." I turned, but no one was there. The forest was dead silent. I took a deep breath, and before I could think, I pulled the door open. Behind it was a room. Not just any room, the same living room from that house. The same broken furniture, the same scratched photographs, the same smell of rotten damp wood. But this time, the rest of the house wasn't there. Only the room, floating in darkness beyond the doorway. I stepped inside. My body trembled. The air was colder now, almost freezing. As soon as I entered, the door slammed shut behind me. The candle on the old table lit itself, casting faint light on the walls, and I realized something horrifying. The photos on the wall were different. They weren't scratched anymore. They showed people looking directly at me. Then, one by one, their eyes began to move. I backed away, my breath fogging the air. The candle flickered violently, and I heard it again, that slow, creaking sound of footsteps above me. But there was no upstairs this time. There was no ceiling, only darkness above. Then came a knock, 3 slow, heavy knocks on the other side of the wall. Then another, closer. Then another, right behind me. I turned around and there was a door that wasn't there before. It was identical to the first one. My heart pounded as I reached for the handle. When I opened it, I found myself standing in a hallway, inside the same forest house again. Only now, everything looked newer, like it had just been built. The lights worked, the walls were clean, and faint laughter echoed from one of the rooms. I called out, "Hello?" No answer. I walked toward the laughter, a child's laughter, soft and echoing. The sound led me to a half-open door at the end of the hall. I pushed it open. Inside, a small girl was sitting on the floor, playing with wooden blocks. She looked up and smiled. "You're not supposed to be here yet," she said in a calm voice. Before I could ask what she meant, the entire room began to shake. The lights flickered. The girl's smile faded. She whispered, "She's coming." The window shattered, and I heard that same dripping sound again, footsteps mixed with water. The woman was back. Her shadow stretched across the floor, long and unnatural. She moved closer, her face half hidden, water dripping from her hands. I stepped back, but the door behind me vanished. She leaned close, whispering in that same cold tone, "You shouldn't have opened the door again." Her eyes turned black. The candle went out. When I woke up, I was lying in my car, dry, safe, daylight filtering through the trees. I thought it was a dream, but when I turned to the passenger seat, there was something lying there, the same photo from the room. Only this time, it was new, and in the photo, I was standing beside her smiling.
Now you'll never leave.
You opened the floor. Now we are free.
It's been 3 nights since I came back from that forest. 3 nights without sleep. Every time I try to close my eyes, I hear something beneath my floor, faint knocking, like someone trapped underneath the wood. At first I thought it was in my head. Maybe the trauma, maybe guilt. But last night, the knocking grew louder. And this morning, I found muddy footprints inside my room leading from the wall to the center of the floor, and then stopping. The strange part, they weren't mine. That same evening, the storm returned. Thunder, heavy rain, and the same chill I felt that night in the forest. I sat alone in my living room, the candlelight trembling every time the wind hit my window. Then came that sound again. Knock, 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 right beneath my feet. I grabbed my flashlight and crouched down. For a moment, everything went silent. Then, I heard a voice faint, muffled, and desperate. "Help me, please." It was a woman's voice, the same one from that house. My skin went cold. I wanted to run, but my legs wouldn't move. I pressed my ear to the floor and heard something else. A second voice, a whisper. This one sounded closer. "She's lying." My breath caught in my throat. 2 voices, one begging, one warning. I didn't know which one to trust. The knocking turned into pounding, shaking the whole floor. I grabbed a crowbar from the corner and, against my better judgment, started prying the floorboards open. Each nail came out with a loud creak. Dust filled the air. When I finally lifted the last board, there was nothing, only darkness below. But then I noticed something, a staircase, narrow and wooden, leading down into the ground. The air from below smelled like wet soil and mold. My flashlight barely reached the bottom. I hesitated, then started climbing down. As I went deeper, I realized the walls weren't made of concrete or dirt. They were made of old wood, carved with strange symbols. The deeper I went, the louder the whispers became. "Welcome back. You shouldn't have left. She's waiting." At the bottom, I found a small underground room. In the center was a chair, and on it, a man. His skin pale, his eyes wide open, but he wasn't breathing. In his hand, he held a photo. It was me standing inside that same room. The candle beside him flickered, though there was no wind. I stepped closer and noticed something else, carvings on the wall behind him. A date, the 6th of October, 2025. That's today. My heart dropped. I turned to run, but the staircase behind me was gone. In its place, just a solid wooden wall. The whispers grew louder, overlapping, turning into screams. The candle went out, and the room fell into pitch darkness. I could still hear breathing, not mine. Slow, steady, right behind me. Then, a voice I'll never forget. "You opened the floor. Now we're free." Something grabbed my ankle and pulled me down. I screamed, kicking and clawing at the wood, but the ground felt like water cold, pulling me deeper and deeper. The last thing I saw was the candle relighting itself, illuminating a new photograph on the chair. It showed the room empty again, except this time, I wasn't in it. I was beneath it.